Welcome to another edition of Rabbitohs Radio. My name is Grant Chappell. I'm joined by my loyal co-host and friend, Brendan the Rabbit Taliski. What's doing, Brendo?
Oh, not much at all, Chapo. Just knocked off work for the day, mate, and give it a bit of a tidy up around my place, mate. After that big storm on Saturday night, we've had a bit of wild weather around here, mate.
Yeah, it has been pretty ordinary, hasn't it? It was a nice old day today, but mate, the swell was up and about. It's good to go around and have a look at some of the big waves around. I certainly didn't take part in it. It was a bit big for me, a bit rough for me, but it's Teamless Tuesday, mate. We haven't spoken since last week. We all I thought I might do is just open up with a couple of those little signings that have been announced over the past couple of days from the Rabbits. Edward Cossey comes over, 36 NRL games, 63 New South Wales Cup games. Look, a lot of people are blowing up. We want more forwards, and I get that. I think we do need more front rows. Don't worry about that. But I don't think we're going to go out and, with the cap space we've got, I don't think we're going to go out and get 800,000 on a prop. He just doesn't fit in. But, the next best thing is getting a yardage man, and who knows, mate, Edward Cossey could be proved to be a really good signing, mate.
Yeah, mate, I really like that signing. I mean, as you've mentioned, we need some outside backs that are able to carry the ball with a bit of gusto out of trouble. The Bulldogs, other than one or two bigger men, have been operating with a pretty small forward pack for a couple of years now, and they've got the bigger outside backs, Kiraz, Stephen Crichton, and the like that take all the tough carries coming out of trouble. So this Edward Corsi, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it or not, but what's he? Well over 6 foot, 100 kilos. He's a big man, and he's got quite a good try scoring record too. So he's got plenty of ability there, chaps. I think he's scored 20 odd tries from around 37 or 38 NRL appearances. So he knows how to find the line, and he'll also be a good yardage man coming out of trouble, mate.
Yeah, he's 107 kilos, Brendan. Like, he'd be nearly one of the biggest full outside backs we've ever had, I reckon. Like, especially a winger. Look, we've had some big units over the years, but not as big as old Edward. But yeah, anyway, we'll see how he fits in. Look, he might not make the roster to start the year, but look, he's been part of a team that is we're on the verge of breaking an all-time record, and they end up having a draw on the weekend. But they'd won 15. They're gunning for 15 straight wins in the New South Wales Cup, and he's a big part of that team. He'd been in just about every game, and he played 5 NRL games this year, so he knows what it's like to win. That system over there is pretty strong, and we've already grabbed Talfa Graham from over there, so we've decided to pinch a few of their outside backs. And look, it didn't stop there. South, as part of their Pathways series, they spoke about a few last week. This week they spoke about a few guys. A bloke we hinted about, we sort of known about this signing for a good 6, 8 weeks on the show here. Didn't want to say the guy's name out of respect for the Rabbits, let them announce it. And they've talked about him today. Phillip Laki. I don't know exactly what his weight is, but I think he's around 120 kilo, 18-year-old Brendan. He played New South Wales Cup as a 17-year-old for the Roosters this year. He was part of that. He's on the bench for the SG Ball Grand Final winning team. Had an outstanding middle forward rotation. He was part of it. He's a big, strong man. You get him close to the line, he's hard to handle. He comes in next year. He'll start the season at SG Ball level. That's how young he is, Brendan. He doesn't turn 19 till next year. So he's a player of the future. 2027, I think he's on a suppo contract. Suppo means you can play first grade. 28, he's on a top 30 deal. So they've got high hopes for him. And just talking to a few of the people at the Rabbitohs, one bloke who's really keen on this signing is Wayne Bennett. Absolutely loves Big Phillip.
Well, mate, that's really good to hear. I've spoken to a couple of people that have had a bit to do with him. Former Rabbitoh Adam McEwen, that's coached at the Roosters. He
Mm.
was a big rat for Big Phillip, and a good mate of mine that you've also met, former Rabbitoh Peter Reid. He's pretty good mates with Arthur Katinas, and Arthur had a lot of good words to say about this young fellow, and said that he'll be an absolute asset for the club, especially with us needing middle forwards. And you mentioned on the show a couple of weeks ago, chaps, it's all about the future and building
Yeah.
for the future now. Yeah, we may have a lean couple of years, but we could have an absolute wrecking ball forward in the Payne Haas mould in the Rabbitohs NRL jumper in 2028, mate. And that's, as fans, we just want the club to keep building and keep picking up these young guys because these guys could be the future of the club, mate, for 10, 12, 15 years, Chapo.
Yeah, well, you just cannot have enough middle forwards, and I think this year we've been caught short with our pants down. Going into the season, we only had the four genuine front rowers. One of them hasn't played at all, first grade. He's named on the bench this week. That's Trell Mitchell's brother, Big Shaq. So you really had three genuine front rowers for the season. Mawali's gone. He's broke his hand. He's out for the year. You're down to Kepi and Big Junior, and Junior's done his shoulder as well. So like we're basically down to one genuine front row we played with on the weekend. I've always said it. You need at least six. It looks like South are heading towards that. Look, Elijah Keung is one I've been pretty excited about. He can play first grade next year, Brendan. He's about 112, 113 kilo, 19-year-old, big try scorer. I think he scored about 6 or 7 tries in the SG Ball this year. Had an injury. I mean, that's the year where everyone seems to get hurt, but he had an injury. He'll be back next year. He'll start the year in probably Jersey flag and work his way up through the grades. And who knows, maybe he plays first grade next year. Maddox Fui's another one. He's going to be just on a New South Wales Cup contract next year. He'll start in Jersey flag as well, I believe. Actually, no, I think he qualifies for SG Ball. Look, there's a few guys coming through. Johannes Logan's one I really like. Real mobile middle. He's about 19 years of age. He'll be in the system as well. They've signed him up to a long-term deal. But there's some exciting times coming. But again, it's the fans don't really care because they're looking at a score line from last week, Brendan. We can have a look at that game if you want to have a suzz of it. 60 points to 14. Look, don't look at the score. The score line will make you depressed, I guess, when you're leaking that many points. But I thought there was certainly Blake's playing above their weight and could have been a lot worse, to be honest. I think they end up scrambling and saving a few tries during that game. But anyway, it was what it was. We competed for about 25, 30 minutes, like Wayne said in the post-match press conference. But yeah, it's you don't want to go out and get beat by 60 at any time.
No, mate, it was a disappointing result, but it was 18-8 at half time. It was 3 tries to 2. Obviously, we missed the 2 attempted conversions. We weren't able to kick them, and we went into the sheds at 18-8, which for the team we had out there, up at Suncorp on a Friday night with their full team in, all their guns, plenty of State of Origin players, blokes that have represented their country out there, and we run out there with guys like Ashton Ward that I don't think anybody thought was going to be anywhere near an NRL jumper at the start of the season. And he saved a certain try. Now, if it wasn't for him out there, the scoreline gets to at least 66, possibly 70 points, Chapo. And he saved a certain try there on Jordan Ricky. And to me, I was really loved some of the effort plays out there from the younger guys. Tom Fletcher was another one.
Oh yeah.
49 minutes off the bench on debut. Absolutely outstanding. He did his work in defence. He was actually able to poke his nose through on the right hand side of the field late in the game with a good carry, get up with a quick play the ball. And Lockie Hubner actually scored off the back of that, and that was due to the work of Tom Fletcher. So we had a guy out there in Ashton Ward that's only played 2 NRL games, and another guy that's only played 1 NRL game. That they're 2 guys that I want to mention that really represented our jumper and our club really well on Friday night at Suncorp Grant.
Oh, they did. Yeah. Thomas Fletcher dropped the ball off the bat. I don't know
I
if it's a
wasn't going to mention
sus pass or
that.
not. He's dropped the ball off the bat, but from there on in, he just rolled the sleeves up, tackled everything that moved. His carries were pretty strong, and I thought what I liked about him, you mentioned it, he's quick play the ball, not just that one we were talking about. I actually think he could have got up and ran off and scored himself then. There wasn't a finger on him, if you remember it. He split the two defenders. He got up and thought, I better play the ball, because that was, he already had some simple instructions out there, and he followed it to the T. But I think if he gets up and runs off, he scores. There was no one in front of him, but he played the ball anyway, and they did a little shift out there to old, what's his name, Hubby. He scored, but no one went over to celebrate with Hubby. I'm not sure what happened there. He was on the ground on his own, but maybe they just didn't want to celebrate because they're so far behind. But yeah, look, I want to single out Jai Arrow, bloke who just wears his heart in his sleeve. He never stopped trying that entire game, and you had that smart ass bloody, excuse the pun, but that Ezra Man and Reece Walsh coming around to score a try laughing having a laugh to each other. And Jai just come from the clouds to try and belt him and started a little melee there. But he didn't want to. He didn't want people laughing at his club. He loves South Sydney, man. He's a South man through and through, Jai. Um, I appreciate him. But there was a few good performances. I thought Isaiah Tass um, ran the ball with some vigour. Tallis Duncan, he's been our best the last couple of weeks, no doubt about it. Bailey Bentley Harpo scored a spectacular try, went up over the top. Look, Louis Dodd, like Wayne said, look, he just struggles in first grade, I think. The contact's just not there with him. He tries his guts out. Like I've seen him chasing a few guys that were runaway tries, and he tries his best. And he kicked the ball well. Nice kick out there to BBH there, but yeah, well, he hasn't even found himself in the 22-man squad this week, but that's all right. He can still plug away there. We needed him in cup because I called those games last week, and we really struggled there too. Got beat, conceded 54 points to 4, I think it was. Yeah, it was a bit of a tough assignment, mate. But yeah, all the same, the boys got out there and had a dig, and you got to kind of, if you look at the score, you go, geez, they were terrible. But when you look at it from 20,000 feet, and the injury crisis we've had, probably didn't get a lot of calls go our way during that game. There's a few forward passes I thought they let go. Yeah, it was just one of those games, mate. And for us, it's going to be big because a South Sydney fan like me and you, Brendan, or any of you people listening online, got to go out there, live his dream, and make his debut as a Rabbitoh. Thomas Fletcher. This guy is a member, just like me and you, Brendan, for many, many years. He used to cry when he was young, when the team would lose. I probably still do it, but anyway, look. So there was plenty of positives out of that game, Brendan, in my opinion.
Definitely, mate, and have a lifelong South Sydney Rabbitohs supporter that was able to live out his dream and run out there at I believe, one of the greatest sporting stadium in Australia, Suncorp. I've been to many stadiums, and
Yeah,
I really love Suncorp. I love the atmosphere, and regardless of the score, he's walked away from that ground, one of the best grounds in Australia, with a South Sydney District Rugby League first grade player number, and it
Chad,
was
one
just
two
so
one two,
important.
mate.
1-2, 1-2, and it was just so important for him and his diehard Rabbitoh father, Nick, and all the
Yeah,
extended family. And we've spoke about him last week, but now he's made his debut, and I believe he's playing again this week. I just want to give another shout out to the family, and yeah, he's been
yeah,
named again, Chavo. He's becoming a real veteran, Tommy Fletcher.
yeah. We've seen him right through social media. The phone call he made to his dad last week, it's pretty emotional. And also his mum getting up and speaking in front of the South Sydney team about the journey he's been on, and she was bursting into tears nearly the whole time, right up to brother and sister. Pretty proud stuff. But yeah, outstanding, and hopefully that's just the start of something pretty big. Because I thought he outplayed a lot of other Rabbitohs in the side without naming names. But anyway, Brendan, that might be about it. We might get on to Team List Tuesday, mate. Brought to you by Daryl Lee Chocolate. And Wayne's dropped his side. Now, two blokes are out. Ryan Gray was injured 9 minutes into that game, Brendan, with a shoulder injury, I believe. So he hasn't been named in any grade. I assume he's out for a while there. Haven't spoken to anyone in the club about it. And also, Ty Munro drops out of that 17. That brings in Brandon Smith, the big name Brandon Smith, onto the bench. And you've also got Peter Mamazoulis, and I'm jumping number 14, Saliva Havili at 9. So I don't mind the look of that. I actually wouldn't mind seeing, if Havili only plays that first 10, 15, bring Pete on 15 minutes in and let him play the game out. That's the way I'd play it. I think he offers a fair bit in attack, Pete. And you can also use Liver as a front rower as well in your rotation. I think they don't utilise that enough. A little nuggety, hard man to bring down. I don't mind the look of that side, mate. It's just a little bit more class in it. Obviously, Jamie Humphries comes into the side as well.
Yeah, Chapo, I like that team. And you mentioned about Liver. Liver Harvey's got that low centre of gravity. He's a stocky bloke, mate. I think his best football now, he's getting into his 30s, is actually as a middle forward. And he does have a really good offload. And we've seen him close to the line before. He's able to barge over. A lot of those tries have obviously been when he's been playing hooker. But I think as a middle forward, he's got quite a lot to offer us, mate, with that good late offload he's got and really good leg drive. Um, he very rarely gets put on his back in a tackle. He always finds his elbows and knees and gets up and plays the ball nice and quickly. So if we can use him through the middle and then possibly even have the 1-2 punch of Brandon Smith, mate, the block of cheese has been named, and he could do a job for us as a middle forward too, mate.
Yeah, and I like again Liam LeBlanc, 39 minutes. I think he got. I think he could play longer minutes. He absolutely belted Pat Carrigan, Willison as well. He really tags him off the kickoff. I think he's the best tackler in our team, technique wise. He's a bit of a Trevor Gilmeister role, Liam LeBlanc. So I'm glad he's getting another go. Like Liam, Thomas, and Joe Gray, they're quite good mates. They're pretty tight. So for them three to be on the field at the same time, hopefully there'll be a big moment for them. Look, the extended bench. There's some interesting names there. Um, Ty Munro is one of them. Quite interesting to see him as the 18th man there again, which means Bailey Bentley Harper has done enough to keep his position. Talanoa Penatani, or Noah Penatani, some people call him. He's good to see his name on the list. He'll probably play in Cup this week. Celestia Tata, Shaq Mitchell, and Latrell Mitchell, jumper number 22, Brendan. Did a little bit of training today from all reports. I wasn't down there, but a few mates who attended, and they said that he got through a little bit there. So it's only early in the week. We've got a long turnaround. We've got the Sunday game. Interesting. Do you think Latrell comes into this side, and where do they play him?
Look, mate, I really hope so because I've got to say, Chapo, with all the injuries we do have, if you turn on your telly and Big Trelly's there ready to play in the red and green, we're always a chance of winning. We had a pretty weakened side with injuries there a couple of months ago against the Melbourne Storm, and Latrell Mitchell, who set up 4 tries on that night, almost won the game on his own. He's one of the most skillful players in the competition, and a lot of people are dubbing this game the Spoon Bowl, and if we want to get away from that territory and get away from the spoon, which we definitely don't want, I think Latrell Mitchell needs to play and he needs to play well, and someone of his capabilities could be the difference between the two teams, chaps.
Well, you're bringing in the class of Latrell Mitchell to this side. Just his presence out there, just his catch and pass under pressure, his pass selection, his ability to. You don't know what we're going to need this much. His ability to kick a 48-metre field goal. We know he can do that. There's not many players in the competition that can do it. We saw Nathan Cleary do a freaky one, step back over the line, kicked a 40-metre one. That would have went 50 probably. It went 10 metres past the dead ball line. There's only you can count them on one hand, the players that can ice a game in a clutch situation. Wouldn't it be awful for the Titans to get beat by a 2-point field goal again 2 weeks in a row? One by Nathan Cleary and one by Latrell. Yeah, and I think just the Brandon Smith, we got a little taste of what he could do and what he's about, the way he gets out of dummy half, that bullocking style run, built low to the ground. He's going to be someone that can at least bend the line back and push his opposition line back, and that's probably what we've been struggling at this season, has been able to, you know, run between defenders and drag that opposition D line backwards, and then it gives place people like your Ashton Wards or your Jai Grays and Humphreys time to cut a team apart, to see something and try it, because at this stage of the season, I know we're playing a pretty conservative style of footy, but I mean, this is the spoon bowl, mate. We go out there and play some footy. Have we scored more than 3 tries? It's been a long time since we scored more than 3 tries, in a match.
Yeah, mate, we've obviously got to get some points on the board. And you mentioned guys like Brandon Smith. He brings plenty, as you said, mate. He'll draw in defenders and he'll create opportunities for the quicker, craftier men like Ashton Ward. Like a lot of people have been wrapping up Ashton Ward lately, who's been playing behind a beaten forward pack. If we're able to gather a bit of forward momentum in this game and start skittling a few defenders, imagine what little Ashton Ward could create off the back of that. Um, and again, on Brandon Smith, chaps, we're talking about a 150 game player here, a premiership winner, won a premiership with the Melbourne Storm, played representative football with New Zealand. At the moment, with this team made up of fringe first graders and a lot of younger kids, someone like a Cheese coming back in for another away game up there on the Gold Coast is absolutely massive, mate. He's an experienced campaigner. He's a premiership winner, as I just mentioned, and we
Mm.
really need him back in the red and green.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, anyway, the Titans they played some pretty good footy on the weekend. Probably deserved to win. I think they done just about enough to win the game, but didn't. It's going to be nothing easy about it. I think Kieran Foran's been in some all right form. Kieran, he's got the body pretty fit and digging into the line as he does, taking shot, throwing it out the back to young Jaden Campbell and the like. So yeah, we're going to have to be certainly on our game. And yeah, good on to Ashton Ward. I mean, like you said, who would have thought he's our starting 5'8" at the start of the season. A lot of people didn't know who he was. I was tipped off that we'd bought the halves from the Dragons last year. That was Nick Quinn and Ashton Ward, and I looked a bit of tape on him. I like the look of Quinn, but Ward looked a bit quicker over the ground. Like Quinn's done a good job in the lower grades, but he's probably not the quickest guy. Yeah, anyway, he's done a good job. Even Ryan Gray, I wouldn't have thought he would ever play first grade this year, but he's come out and done a good job. And good luck to Ryan Gray. He's out injured at the moment. I hope your recovery is a smooth one, mate, and not too painful. We might move on to the other teams, Brendan. They've dropped the Cup team. As I said, we touched up last week at Kellyville. What a beautiful facility it is out there. Unbelievable world-class facility that they've got there at Kellyville for the Parramatta Eels. All grades train there. They've got 4 or 5 big fields right there in front of them. Got to call that game in horrendous conditions. The rain just never stopped. But they're too classy, the Eels, for us. There's a name you will remember. Lorenzo Talataina, on debut, carved us up. 18-year-old 5'8", powerful ball runner, great skill, great speed. I think he scored 2, set 2 up. So he's one to remember there. Look, there's not a lot of changes. You got Talanoa Penatani back into the side. Hazen Mellors comes back after an injury layoff. You got Nigati Nkoro. He ends up keeping his spot, the hooker. Played an all right game last week. Javier Pitavayo, I think he had 48 tackles, no misses, but he retained his spot. The Chilean national himself. And look, not a lot of changes there in the in the Jersey flag. They've just moved the deck chairs around a little bit there. Bailey True, the big 6'6" winger, chucked him in the centres this week. Yeah, put Bangiri into the second row, and Zane Watson, a guy who goes hard, another middle forward who goes pretty hard at the club. And Cody Hill made his debut last week. Crafty number 9. Got a great pass out of dummy half. And Jacob Fong, 4 tries on the weekend. Brendan, not every day you score 4 tries. In a well-beaten side, I think they're beaten 44-18, but he scored 16 of our points on the wing. So we've got some good young players coming through, mate.
Beautiful, mate. 4 tries. And I just want to say, I was meaning to say it the last couple of weeks to any of the viewers out there that love this program. You guys have got to check out Grant with his commentary in these lower grade games, in the Pathways games, mate. You really call those games well. Lots of positive energy, whether it's you're calling Parramatta. You know, Parramatta have got the ball, where the Souths have got the ball. You're positive about both teams. You know the game really well. And your pronunciation of these Islander names, chaps, is getting better and better, mate. I reckon I could take you to a family barbecue and you could start chatting a bit of lingo with my crew, mate.
Rua Tapatu and then Gatakora, our hooker for New South Wales Cup. Yeah, he's a tough old name, old Rua. Nah, it is. It's all part of it, mate. Love doing it. Not doing it this week. Got some night shifts coming up this week, starting tonight. The dreaded night shifts. But look, hats off to our Harvey Norman women's team too, Brendan. They're playing a really good brand of football. Their halves are so skillful. Louisa Yaranamua, she's I've likened to an Owen Craigie, just insane ball skills. Again, put on a clinic on the weekend. Kiara McGregor, she's got to be the best 7 for her age in Australia. I don't know if you've seen the highlights I put up the other day. You got to look at this no-look pass she puts in for the centre. Absolutely Jonathan Thurston like this pass she does. She's outstanding. Kiara McGregor. Look, I'd be doubt she'll be with South next year. Surely an NRLW team takes a punt on this girl. She is a star. And also, you've seen two Mitchells named on the extended bench for the Rabbitohs, Brendan, Shaq, Latrell. What about
Yep.
Kaisha Mitchell, their cousin, first cousin? She's the fullback for the Harvey Norman women's team, playing some pretty good footy. My old mate Matty Mitchell, which is the father of Latrell and Shaq, that's his brother's daughter. So Kashaya, her name is, yeah. So she goes all right. The Mitchell name deep into the Rabbitohs, mate. That's the fourth Mitchell to put on the Rabbitohs jersey.
Beautiful, mate. The great Matty Mitchell back in the day played with DB and the boys, didn't he, from memory, back in the early 90s?
Yeah, he's old Marcelin boy too, mate. He's he was a star in the schoolboys. Carved up Andrew and Matthew Johns. They ate them for breakfast back then. He was that
How
talented,
good.
Matty. Yeah, freak of a player. Anyway, yeah, the girls are on this weekend. You can watch them play the they're playing the Central Coast team at Redfern, and the other two are playing at Wentworth Park on Sunday. I think it's a 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock start. So whether or not you get out there to those, otherwise you can watch them live on Bar TV Sports. It's about $19 a month, Brendan. It's a bit of a hit, I guess, but you get so much footy to watch. If you love your New South Wales Cup and that, it's a great brand of footy cup because they don't have any of those video refs, and if they make a mistake, they just move on, bit like park footy, but with a really high standard of good footballers.
Yeah, mate. Bar TV. I think for 19 a month, it's great value. Obviously, you can watch your ball, your flag, your New South Wales Cup, and there's park football games from all over New South Wales and obviously Queensland as well that you can watch on there of all grades. I know that even the local games up here for Arimba, you can watch them on Bar TV. And
Yep.
mate, it's great for people that are passionate about rugby league at all levels that are unable to be at the ground can utilise Bar TV for the price of 3 or 4 cups of coffee a month. I mean, most people buy a cup of coffee every morning. So for $19, if you love your league and you don't mind listening to this rude 80-year-old chapo calling a game,
Yeah,
get yourself involved with Bar TV, eh?
that's it. Get on the Bar TV. Look, South Sydney, if you get a chance, have a look. If you're a member, you can go on their website and you can have a look at the all the stuff they put out there about those players. I think Matthew Humphries, a bit about him, and Yasin Kusku is a very exciting player. And it tells you their contract situation and where they're at and what they're doing and that. And they're also talking about some future signings and re-signings in the pipeline. Now I know they're without giving anything away, they are negotiating with a few players as we speak, and they're all forwards too. But look, not that I know anything. I'm going to make a prediction and say I reckon we end up with David Fafita, Brendan. Look, all the stars line up. Um, whether you want him or not, he's one of the most talented players to come out of Queensland in years. He's just lost his way up there on the Titans, and I think maybe just a change of scenery. He almost signed with the Roosters last year, if you remember. They pretty much announced it, and he backpedaled, backed out of it. I just think he finds his way to Redfern, mate, and he'll be that big off-season signing to get the fans excited, I think.
Yeah, well, mate, we've had guys like him before, big guys with a lot of potential. One that comes to mind from 12 to 15 years ago was a bloke by the name of the Coltrane, David Taylor. Oh, I love Dave Taylor in the Bunnies
Mm,
colours, mate. He played quite a number of good games. He rotated between back row, front row. I think he played block at one stage.
halfback.
I think with David Fafita, if we are to sign him, chaps, if it does come true, I think we need to play him in the front row. I think being polite, he could have done a lot more for the Titans over the last few years, but playing in the back row, I don't think's his style. I think we've got to move him in the middle, and he could possibly start key on in games with David Fafita in the front row, and we could have that real big 105, 110 kilo 1-2 punch of Keon Kalama-Tungi and David Fafita, Chapo.
I'd love to see him play a similar role to the bloke at the Broncos, now one of the best front rows we've ever seen. He could be as good as that Payne Haas. He's got to drop some kilos though. He looks too overweight up there. If he strips down just a little bit, gets that motor up, mate, he could be a front row, no doubt about it. He's obviously a freak out on the edge when he gets going. But look, that's the up to South Sydney Rabbitohs coaching staff to get him into the game and get him fit and put some performance clauses in his contract. If you're not at X amount weight or if you're not doing X, Y, and Z, well, it's going to cost you money. And players don't like getting hit in the hip pocket. So if he comes down, I think that the contract will be a couple of extra pages than a normal contract, I think, because he's had his trials and tribulations up there at the Titans. He's hardly played a game in the back end of this season. He's out with an ankle injury at the moment, isn't he? Ruled himself out. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting one, but I just got a feeling we're going to end up with Dave Fafita.
Oh, look, chaps, I don't think that's a bad thing. I'd welcome him in
No,
the club. Obviously, he's
great
got a lot
talent.
of potential.
He certainly does. He certainly does, mate. Look, we might leave you there. I'm going to go pick my daughter up for netball on Tuesday, but I'd like to thank you for joining us here on Rabbitohs Radio Podcast. Please like, share, comment. Really encourage you to make a comment on these shows. It helps us grow and boosts us up the algorithm, as you know. Look, thank you for joining us and thanks for all your support. And shout out to our great mate Darren Brown. He's over there sunning it up in Thailand with his beautiful wife Belinda. They're having a good time over there. He'll be back in the cold before he knows it. Brendan, it looks pretty hot over there. It's been pretty ordinary over here, but you've missed out on nothing here, DB. But that might be about it for another edition of Rabbitohs Radio Podcast. Up the mighty Rabbitohs.
Go the Rabs.